Welcome to Real People, Real Life, where everyday conversations lead to extraordinary insights. We're all about digging into the lives of regular people who've achieved success on their own terms. This is Real People, Real Life. And now your host, Ryan Chereau.
You've done this for me, man. It's very special to me.
You know, James, I got your email and I read through all of your stories and your life. And, you know, it fits in with what we talk about here. Society sets up rules and people are expected to follow those rules. I suggest that rules are meant to be broken and we can make change in our lives at any point in time. And that's what you did.
It's all about redemption on my side. I mean, we all fall short, man. We need forgiveness. And so sometimes, well, more people are more forgiving than others, you know. Society's not so much forgiving as individuals. I'm just thankful for that.
That's correct. Yeah. And so you grew up in Tennessee?
No, I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and I was adopted at 2 weeks old. I lived in Washington Township, New Jersey, for 10 years of my life. And my dad got transferred from there to Louisville, Kentucky, and then from there to Columbia, South Carolina. So I spent the majority of my life in Columbia, South Carolina.
And when did you end up in Nashville?
Well, I moved from Columbia to Atlanta, Georgia when I was 17. And I met a guitar player, and he taught me everything. He was very patient with me, and he was like Chet Atkins. And so I followed him. We went to Atlanta. He was working at the military base there as a barber. And I went with him, and 3 days after I was in Atlanta, I got a job. So within walking distance of the motel I was living in. So I pursued my songwriting there, in the Atlanta Songwriters Association, and just tried to, learn as much as I could from everyone, and just mainly just I've learned what I know is just from listening and gleaning little secrets from people that would tell me different things about how to write a song. But I never knew I never knew I could write a short story. I honestly didn't. And that was I probably wouldn't still be able to write if I hadn't never found myself in the circumstances I was in, because I do believe it's something that God had for me, but I was not going to be stable enough, and I was not going to sit still enough for him to get through to me, So
yeah, sometimes we have to hit rock bottom before we start listening and paying attention to the situation around us. In your situation, listening to what God had to do for you. So walk me through the rock bottom of your life that got you started on this path of writing music and books.
Well, the music started when I was young, when I was about 10 years old. I used to listen to a lot of Motown records, and Booker T and the MGs. They had a song that was nothing but an instrumental, and so each week I'd write different verses for the song, and I'd sing along with it. I spent most of my time alone as a kid, and so I had to find ways to entertain myself, and so I started. I picked up the guitar when I was about 10 years old and learned a few chords. And then when I went to South Carolina, I had a music teacher that took a special interest in me and taught me a lot about playing guitar. And it's from there that I used it kind of like therapy, kind of just calm me down, and it let me get my emotions out, And I always wanted to be a songwriter. I just didn't know how to go about it. And when I met this man in Colombia, and he said, I'll teach you. I had to follow him because I had prayed. I prayed for a blessing for somebody to just take the time and teach me. And then I stumbled across this guy in the laundry room at the rooming house where I stayed, and he, I followed him. He self-destructed in Atlanta, and I moved on, and I just continued to write songs and continue to pray about it too, because I didn't want to go into this, because I was afraid that I'd fail, but I would ask God for His guidance, and I said, if you want me to do this, if this is what you want from me, then you would have to open the doors. And He opened the doors, and I set my sights on moving to Nashville, and when I was 22. And so my wife and I moved up here. We almost froze in our car, and some people at the church that we were going to let us stay in the church because we were freezing in the car. And so I continued to write, and so over the years, I probably got a couple, 200-300 songs. I couldn't remember them all right now, but the ones that you hear are the special ones to me, and the most professional ones that I've come up with, because it just takes. It's like anything else. It takes a series of failures to have a success. And you write 5 or 6 songs that are no good, and all of a sudden, the windows of heaven opens up, and you get hit with a blessing, or you get in the way of somebody else's blessing, and you get some of it.
You were talking about in the early days of writing that you were fearful that it wouldn't work out. Fear is a driving force that holds many people back from achieving their dreams.
Right.
And what did you do to tell yourself to continue to write, even though you had the fear of failure?
It was my faith in God, and that's what He wanted me to do. I just every time I was met with a negative response, or somebody would say, "Oh, well, don't quit your day job. You need to get a trade." When people would say that, I'd just say, I'm different. In my head, I'm different. I'm different. I'm going to be one of the ones, and I just my faith can't be unshaken. No matter what situation I'm in, I'm still believe. I'm 60. I'll be 65 in January, but I still believe that I'm going to realize what I came here to do, and it's all in God's time, because I don't have any control over it. I just do what I can do, and reaching out to people like you, and reaching out to other writers on the internet is right now best things I can do. And so and sometimes I get fortunate. Somebody welcomes me with open arms like you have, and other people sometimes they push me away. But I don't let it get me down, because I know what I have, and I know the challenge that I have, and I have confidence in myself. And I say that, but there is still times when I do doubt myself, and I do doubt that what I'm doing is worth anything, because I couldn't get a Happy Meal for everything I produced. All my writing and all my songs, I could take them to McDonald's. I couldn't get a Happy Meal for none of them. But I'm not going to let that get me down, because when you listen to the stories of other people that have been in my position, they haven't given up either, and that's the whole thing. You just can't give up. If you believe in yourself, and if you trust God, then you can't doubt yourself. You just got to keep going, and no matter how bleak it is.
What we try to promote here is overcoming the fear, and through hard work, persistence, and determination, and faith, achieving success, however you describe that, in what you dream of doing. The problem, James, is that a lot of people have dreams with no action behind it. And the secret to success is to keep trying. What's interesting, you said a lot of people are telling you to keep your day job and things like that. They're always right until they're wrong.
Exactly.
The naysayers are 100% right, telling you you're not going to succeed. You go ahead and write a song, they close the door on you. Guess what? They're right. You write 100 songs and you get the door closed on you. Guess what? They're right. That's a safe place to be for most people who don't challenge themselves to go after their dreams. For many reasons. Number one, it's scary. Number two, you're going to get more rejections than you get doors opened. And people just like to take the safe road. The question is that living life? Is that being true to yourself? I love the fact, and the reason why we're talking is that you've spent a lifetime pursuing this dream. You sent me over a playlist of songs. I believe they're all on Spotify, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we'll go ahead and promote that later in the podcast. They're great. They're unbelievable, great country songs. And people need to get out there and listen to these songs written by James. You have a talent. It is a very competitive field. So is podcasting, but I love doing it. And hard work beats luck every time.
Don't you know it? Don't you know?
You had this easy life, just writing songs the whole time, according to your story. You ran into some trouble that got you locked up, and this is where I think, based on what you wrote, got you in a quiet moment in your life to actually start listening to God and diving deeper into your faith. Talk to me about what that was like and how that didn't discourage you from pursuing this later in life.
Well, I'm tell you, it's a sordid tale because when I went to prison, I had no one on the outside sending me money, and I didn't have a job. And my cell partner told me, said, "Oh, don't worry about it, Sally. You'll figure it out. You'll find a hustle." He said, "Just think about what we want in here and what we don't have." And he said, "When you figure that out, then you'll have a good hustle."
Definition of business.
Yeah, and see, in prison, you got to have a hustle. You either wax floors, wash clothes, fold laundry. You got to do something. So if you have no people to give you money from the outside, so I looked around, and all we had in the pod was the Bible, and the guys in there wanted pornography, and so I started writing pornography, and I would lease it out 5 pages at a time for a cigarette or for some soups or some honey buns or something like that. And I wound up having to get the guards to make about 15 copies of the first 5 pages because I had so many people that were coming to rent them that I couldn't fill all the orders. And then one day my cellie told me, he said, "You know something?" He said, "You're really good at that." He said, "You ought to try to write some straight stuff." He said, "Stop all this mess, of pornography and all. Stop all this drug dealing and shooting and killing. Stop writing about that. See what you can do because you got a talent." He said, "You need to check. Just check what I'm saying." So I listened. This guy was like 40 years younger than me. And so I listened to him, and when I went to the next institution, I decided that's what I was going to do. And I sat down one day and I wrote a story called A Time to Remember. Part of that story is about a man that I deeply loved, and I considered him my uncle, and I didn't find him dead the way it says in the story, but nonetheless, he passed away, and I was sad. But so that's how I got into writing these stories in prison, and then I would when I went to the other prison, I sent some of the stories to the warden. I said, "I know you got a lot of things to do. But if you have time, just tell me what you think, you know. And he always came back with some really uplifting um, um, opinions of the work that I was doing. And so I passed them on to the guards, and the guards would say, "Man, you got a gift, you know." And so I was afraid to try to pursue it when I got out because I didn't want the disappointment that I had with songwriting. You know, that's the disappointment is the hardest thing for me to get over because it hurts so bad. You know, you have so high hopes and then they're all just dashed, you know, and it's just hard for me to get over. And so I told my counselor there that I wasn't going to pursue my writing when I got out. And she said, she said, I think you're making a mistake. And so when I got out, and I started looking around and I saw the landscape and I was like, well, self-publishing and this kind of stuff, you know, I thought, well, I'll do it just to see what happens, you know? And, so that's how I started pursuing it. And, I write stuff, you know, at will, you know, even still today. Um, it just comes out of me, and usually it's born out of an emotional crisis that I either see someone else in, or that I've been in myself, and I feel empathy toward that person, and I feel their pain, and then I start writing, you know, about that. One of the stories I think I sent you was uneven trade, about a police officer and his son, and how his son goes on rides with him, and his father eventually winds up getting shot and killed. And I don't know where that came from because I don't know anything about a policeman's life, but I do know that it touched the hearts of everyone in the police department in the town that I lived in, because I sent it to the chief, and I printed up a bunch of copies and I passed them out to the officers that I saw on the street. And you know, it touched all of them. It touched all of them, and I could still. That's why when you asked me to read one of the stories, I can't do it because I wind up getting too emotional because I get caught up in it. Relive it.
The best artists out there, they speak from the heart. They speak from experience. They live the stories and the songs they tell. You can see the authenticity in a star based on they're projecting the internal feelings, the love for their art to the public. You know, you talked earlier about God opening doors. All you can do is continue to write. A lot of people would look at getting thrown in prison as the end all. Turned out that was a door that opened up for you in two ways based on this conversation. Number one, it gave you time to get affirmation of your talent from the people within the prison. And number two, the world changed while you were in prison. You went from a pre-internet society where old school rules held for publishing.
Yeah.
You come on out and all of a sudden, what's this self-publishing? What is this Spotify? I can just do this all on my own and let the public make a decision if what I have is talented. Very similar to what you did when you were in prison. You wrote and you let the public judge you. That's scary.
Yeah, it is. Because my feelings, you know, and my part of my soul is in everything. And so if someone said something bad about something, it would hurt. You know, but I've over the years, I've acquired some pretty thick skin. You know, you have to. You just have to. I mean, everybody's got an opinion, and my sister has her opinion, and she's entitled to that. And I choose not to let that negativity into my head. You know, I try to stay positive about it all the time, because if I don't, it's very easy to sink into deep depression. And I've been there before, and I suffered from depression. And so I can pretty much tell when it's coming on, and I have to I have steps that I take that I have to get in front of it to try to head it off. Otherwise, if I don't, um, I want to take a bath for weeks. I just lay around in my bathrobe and drink.
That's
And
not a good pattern to get into.
no, and it's not good for a person that suffers from depression either, because it just makes it worse.
Yeah, people that are negative, generally, in my opinion, are projecting their own failures or lack of action to achieve their own dreams on you. It makes them feel better.
Right.
It's best to sift through those that are garbage, notwithstanding good criticism from people who care and want to see you succeed. That's beneficial, and it's not negative, it's constructive. Putting yourself out in the public is always going to bring the haters.
Oh yeah.
And generally speaking, it's because they're not happy with their own particular lot in life, and they don't want to see you succeed.
Right. And I had to. I'm unlike a lot of other people. I could see someone who has kids and a mortgage and a wife not pursuing their dreams in exchange for taking care of their family. I didn't have that decision to make, because I don't have any children. I don't have anyone that's depending on me for their life. And and so it's easier for me to dedicate myself to what I'm doing, because I don't have other people depending on me. If I had other people depending on me, I might not be right where I'm at right now.
Or you could be very creative with your time. A lot of people use their hectic lifestyles without actually looking at how their time management is. It's amazing how much time you can recover in a day if you use every moment productively.
Right.
And you can achieve your dreams. You have to give something up, though. What a lot of people think that is they can have their cake and eat it too, right? Oh, this is what I want. Well, my question is, what are you willing to give up to get what you want? Hey, I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, what do you want to give up in order to lose the weight?
Yeah.
You can't just continue to do what you're doing and expect change. That doesn't happen. So you get out. You've got some affirmation from being in, and that you have a talent. You come out into the new landscape of self-publication and the ability to get on the internet and promote yourself. However, you said you were still not going to pursue this with the conversation you had with your counselor, your exiting counselor.
Right.
What changed your mind when you finally got out to the outside? And how did you get over that fear of getting out there and doing it?
Well, when I was in there, I had the only way I had to get my material, my stories typed up, was that there was men that worked in the administration building, and they had access to typewriters and computers and whatnot. And so I would pay these guys to type my stories for me, and they stored all my stories on a floppy disk, because that's the only type of computer that had it at the prison was computers with a floppy disk. And so when I got out, I wanted to get print all my stories, because I just wanted to pass them out to different people, just at random. And so I went to this print shop in Midtown, and I asked the lady. I said, is there any way that y'all can get this off here? And they said, well, I don't know. They don't even make those machines anymore, And I started panicking, And she said, well, let me talk to the guy in the back. She said, I'll call you tomorrow. So she called me the following day, and she said, Jack back there, he said he's got an old floppy disk machine in his shed out the back of his house. He's going to take the floppy disk home, and he's going to see if he can't convert it to a CD. I said, well, that's great. I said, how much will he charge me to do it? They said, nothing. I said, you're kidding me. She said, no. And when I went down to to pick up the CD, I told the lady, I said, can I give y'all a copy of all these stories so that y'all have them and y'all can read them? Because I want to tell you how much I appreciate what you've done. And the lady, she teared up. She teared up immediately. And big tears were falling out of her eyes, hit the countertop, splashing. And she said, I read that one story, Time to Remember. And she said, that same thing happened to my grandfather.
Hmm.
You know,
Another door opened.
You know, yeah, and in the story, the guy, my granddad, or the guy who portrays my grandfather, had a pocket watch. It had been generations in his pocket. And when he died, the pocket watch stopped. So the guy in the story, he takes his pocket watch, he puts it in his sock drawer at home, and after the funeral, he goes home and he just wants to look at that watch one more time. Pulls it out of his sock drawer, and the watch was ticking again, and it had already advanced time. He died at 7:01, and the watch stopped. When he picked it up out of his sock drawer after the funeral, it was at 7:02, and the watch was gone.
Hmm.
And the late when the lady said that was what happened to her grandfather, and it tore me up, and I decided then, that I needed to share this stuff with everybody, because the way it affected her, the way it affects me, even just thinking about it, it's not it's a gift. It's a gift. It's not mine. You know what I'm saying? It's not mine to keep. I'm just a steward of it. And I do believe that God gave me these gifts that I got because He knows I'm a hard head, and He knows that I'm not going to give up. Because if He give these gifts to someone else, I think they would have abandoned them. But I'm not going to, because they're not mine. They're I'm just a steward of it. That's all. And so that's what the way she acted that day at the print shop was what changed my mind. And I figured that all the disappointment that I could ever experience wouldn't be it'd be worth it to have just one person say what she said, and react to one of my stories the way she did. Risking the disappointment was worth it for just that one um, validation that lady gave me. So that's what changed my mind. Yeah.
I've been in business for a while, and one of the things I tell people is that what we do, and we're in a service business, we fix air conditioners and things, but that's not what we do. What we do is we create relationships with people. We just so happen to provide a service that fixes their air conditioners and things along those lines. It's affecting people's lives that is the true source of business. And when you write a story or a song and you see the reaction of people to your art, that is really what success is defined as.
Yeah, if there was no money involved in it at all, the validation is just as valuable, or even more valuable than the dollars.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that our society measures a man's success by how much money he's got in the bank. But the validation of people like you and people like my music producer and people and other people in my life, the validation that I get from them is worth more than any monetary gain I could ever get from it, because it reinforces the fact in my head that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm not on the wrong track. I am on the right.
You're on the wrong track. You're living your life. You're pursuing your dreams. You're ignoring the fear and pushing forward. I know that you mentioned you would have a hard time reading one of your stories, but I think the audience would love to hear even one of your short stories. Is it possible for you to read one for us?
Well, like I said, I'd be willing to do it, but it would probably be better read by someone else. Because I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. I don't embarrass myself because I have a hard time seeing. You can see I got these glasses. I have cataracts, and it's very hard for me to see sometimes. And but I'm willing to do that. I don't have anything in front of me right now. I'd have to pull something up on the computer and read it off of that. I'd have to do that maybe when you take a commercial break or something. You do that?
Well, go ahead and grab it. We can edit out. So go ahead and grab something, and I'll wait.
All right, I'll go ahead and see what I got here. I'll pull something up on the computer so I can read it. Let's see. And I'm not gonna guarantee that I'm not gonna wind up crying, because I just might, because that's something that happens. It happens to me a lot sometimes when I read my stories, even after so many years of having written one. It's still they still affect me that way. This thing is not letting me pull anything out. Let's see.
Take your time. No rush.
Let's see. I know I got one on my phone that I can access real easy. Here's one of mine. I recently wrote one. It was I had this idea for a long time. It was called Angel Pass. Is what I wanted to. The story title of the story be, and this is how it came out. It's have you ever heard that old saying? We're not promised tomorrow. Let me see. Yeah, have you ever heard that old saying? We're not promised tomorrow. Well, it's true. After a hard week of work, where nothing seemed to be going right, I headed home trying to put the week behind me. Traffic was moving along at a good pace, and it looked clear ahead. I set my cruise control to 65 and fell in line 6 or 8 car lengths behind the 18-wheelers that were parting the air ahead. It was clear, and the sky, I mean, and the sun was setting low, and it seemed to be disappearing on the horizon. The left-hand lane was clear, and traffic had spread out as we passed the county line. I glanced down at the radio for a split second. I took my eyes off the truck ahead of me, and when I looked up, the truck had quickly moved from the right-hand lane to the left-hand lane. I had no time to react. Closer than I had thought I was, I slammed into a truck that had stopped abruptly in the right-hand lane. As I hovered above the accident, I was confused. Through the smoke I saw, my car had all but disintegrated. All that was visible was the tail end of my car, and seconds later it went up in flames. I appeared to still be hovering above the wreck. I began to feel my legs, and as I touched myself, I realized that my hands went through my body. It was at this point that I panicked, and in a second I knew I would not be making it home tonight, at least not home where my wife was. Frantic, I began to look for my cell phone, but it was nowhere in sight. The sinking feeling of regret was washing over me, and I began to cry. I don't know where I was, and I was no longer over the wreck, but I wasn't in darkness. I was staring into a blinding white abyss where my presence went unnoticed, and I could not see anyone, but I still felt that I was not alone. It was at this point that I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder, and as I turned, I could see no one. I heard a gentle voice, but not in the same way you would hear someone talking to you. No, this voice was coming from within. It was saying, have no fear, everything is all right. You're in good hands. And I made not a sound, but in my mind, there was an audible voice somewhat like my own, and it was saying, "But my wife, my beautiful wife," and I began to cry again. I felt a comforting embrace, and I felt myself hug someone, and I felt that someone's arms was around me, and I could still see no one. However, a calm, peaceful feeling engulfed me as if it were a warm electric blanket consuming me. I turned my head to one side, and as I rested my head on someone's shoulder, as if I was a baby, I felt a gentle rocking motion. My tears ran down my cheeks as if someone had turned on a faucet, and the gentle rocking motion was lulling me to sleep. I don't know how long I was asleep, but I felt rested. As I slowly opened my eyes, my vision was clouded, so I rubbed my eyes, and when I opened them, I could see clearly. I was taken aback. I was in my car, the seatbelt tightly around me, the engine was running, sitting at the gas pumps at the gas station. Dumbfounded and clearly shaken by the events that were real, I just could not believe what had just happened. Um, Afraid to get out of my car, but forced to because I had to use the restroom, but still shaking, I climbed out of the car and went in. And on my way out, I picked up a candy bar. As I reached in my pocket, folded up with the bills that were in my pocket, was a note on, and it read, "One official angel pass." And in the corner, it read, "Issued by LL," the initials LL. Upon closer inspection of the angel pass, I saw LL Louise Lanshaw. The angel pass was issued by my mother.
Wow. Great story. You have a talent. Where could people find more of your stories, James?
Well, they're on they're in all the bookstores, B. Dalton's and all of them, and they're also on Amazon KUP. You can pick it up there. You can get it's print on demand, or if you have a Kindle device, you can download it. Um, and I'm currently working on getting a website of my own so that I could also give somebody who buys a book with a download of all my music. That's what I'd like to do. So I'm going to be trying to make that happen by first of the year. So I just got to put some points together.
People going onto these sites like Amazon or B. Dalton, et cetera, bookstores, would they just search you as an author, James Lanshaw?
No, they'll search for James Lennox because that's my pen name, and in honor of my mother, because my mother's maiden name was Lennox, and it's the book is entitled "Life's Daily Struggles Defined" by James Lennox, and
how do you spell the last name?
Lennox, Lennox.
And what is the name of the book again? Repeat.
It's Life's Daily Struggles Defined. It's all about the decision.
I encourage everybody out there to go ahead and go onto Amazon, go onto your online bookstores and look for this. I've read some of James's stuff, and it'll put tears in your eyes, put a smile on your face. It's very encouraging, and you would help James out a lot. Now, you did these stories, and you also write for music. You sent me over a half a dozen songs that were produced with your lyrics, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I wrote the words and the music. I'm the author of both of them. The producer, I have to credit him because he is so great. Everything you hear on there it's all my music, note for note, but it's the way he produces the work. The way he produces the song, it makes it a lot more than what it was prior to him getting involved in it. I'll give you a chance to hear how a song sounds when it's sent to the producer, and then what it sounds like when it comes back. It's absolutely amazing. But he literally changes nothing he changes nothing in my composition at all. Um, and he's even called me. He said, "Do you mind if we just step it down a key?" I'm like, "No, no, you go ahead. You can step it down a key, But but he never changes anything. So um, I'm very proud of that, the work that I did. Uh, my dad passed away when I was in prison, and when he died, he left me some stocks, and it was for me to start a new life.
Hmm.
And I waited some years before I requested ownership to the stocks, and when I did, I decided that I was going to take a portion of the money, and I was going to get these songs produced. So for the most part, every song that you hear on the album is provided. The funds were provided by my dad because I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if he hadn't done that because it was expensive. I'm sure I'm gonna lie to you. It's not cheap to do it, and but I don't regret it a bit, and I think my dad would be so happy to hear and see how I spent his money or the money he left me because it's something it's it's never going to go away. You know, I mean, that's never going to go away. And what I hate to do is when I get money is to have $400 or $500 in my pocket, and then a week or two later look around and go, well, I got $50. Where did all my money go? And I don't see anything. I don't see anything for it. So it does my heart good to know that I did something that was everlasting with the money that my dad left me. And
Yeah, money is good for three things, in my opinion: pay the bills and eat,
mm-hmm.
invest it like you did into your dreams, your future,
Mm-hmm.
and give it away and
Yeah.
enjoy the response of people less fortunate to receive a gift. Other than
Yeah.
that, there's not much else use for it.
I had a business of mine for 10 years, a commercial drywall business in Nashville before my life exploded. And I was privileged to be associated with some very uh, kind men in the construction business and very Christian men in the construction business. And at one time, I met someone that was in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed. And I wanted to help her, and I couldn't do it on my own. She had a wheelchair that caught on fire, and she couldn't get out of the wheelchair, and it burned her. And I was determined to not let this happen to her again. And so I went to one of the men that I worked for, and I said, "Look, man, so I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this, but I can't do it on my own. I need some help." I said, "Would you be willing to do this?" I said, "I'm not going to tell her that I did it or you did it. I'm just want her to pick up a wheelchair down at Williams Medical Supply on Church Street." And he said, "I'll be happy to get involved with that." And she called me one day. She was blowing up. She said, "James, please come down here to Williams Medical Service. I got a wheelchair. Somebody bought me a brand new wheelchair." And went down there, and my friend, I had $900 to put in on it. It was quite expensive, but my friend covered the rest of it. And it wasn't a used wheelchair; it's brand new, state of the art. And I helped her. There's some of the guys at Williams Medical Supply helped me load her on my truck, and I took her over to her room, and she was so happy, man. It just warmed my heart. And so when you say there's good uses for money, I mean that's what I think. When you got more than you need, I think it's what you should do, And I was just, that's the kind of things that I did, when I had money. But I was also living a pagan life too, So I don't think I don't ever think the good things we do outweigh the bad things we do. But they're equally as good and bad as the other. It's the only thing I can say. And so, I never did anything like that to try to buy my way out of the problems that I did. I just did it because I cared, and I had more than I needed. And and I wasn't doing right with my money anyway. So it was, better off spent on someone, uh, uh, and someone's comfort and someone's ability to get around. So that's kind of stuff I did when I had a lot of money.
Yeah,
I went.
the only good about the past, because we can't do anything about it, and regret is a waste of time, is to better our future. We don't get a book about how to live our lives when we are born into this world, and the world is ever changing, as you see, coming out, going into lockup, and then coming out and seeing a completely different world. However, taking advantage of lessons learned and benefiting your life going forward is all we can do. And you seem to be doing a fantastic job at that. I like the fact that your investment, as one of the three things I say money is good for, is also enriching people's lives. Where can people, I loved the music that you sent me. It is amazing and should be charted music. Where can people find and support James Landshoff's music?
Well, I'm on Spotify, but I'm also on all the streaming services. Period. I got involved with this site called DistroKid, and what they do is I paid a 1 year fee, and they got my music on every streaming platform that there is in the world. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Pandora or all the other services. It's on everything. It's on every service.
And do you use your name as the artist, or so they would search James Landshoff?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily. I'm not the artist. I bill myself as a writer, but the title of my album is Mind's Eye. And when I say mind's eye, that little peanut kind of thing that's in your brain that you can see if you have vision, you have mind's eye, because you can see things that other people can't see. Like I'm also a carpenter, so I can look at an empty site. There's nothing but weeds and grass, and I can, in my mind's eye, I can envision that house being there. And so that was why I named the title of my album Mind's Eye, because I already see myself sitting at the Grammys, and I'm not going to that. I'm not giving that idea up. Just even being nominated, I'd be happy, but I'm not giving that up either. So that's my mind's eye. I'm looking ahead. I'm seeing a vacant horizon right now. But I can see, in my mind's eye, I can see everything that's going to be built there. And
everybody go out to your streaming services and look up James Landshoff. That's Landshhoff. And the album is Mind's Eye. I've listened to it. It's quality. It'll get you in the heart. It's country music based. I think that you'll be blessed and uplifted by the songs that James has written. Well, James, I really appreciate your time today.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm glad I reached out to you. I think
I'm
that
glad
you're an inspiration to all the rule breakers out there, and know that age is not a disqualifier of following your dreams.
Nope.
People use the excuse, I'm too old. Oh, I've already done too many things in my past life. I can't achieve my dreams. I'm scared.
Yeah.
The trick to being scared, and you're going to be, fear is normal. It's natural, but you got to put that first foot out. You have to answer the first question mark of what happens when I take a step out and put my stuff out there, whatever it is, whatever your talent or dreams are. And when you do that, what's amazing is the fear that your brain built up and the weird stories that your brain puts together aren't even close to reality. And that first step answers a lot of question marks that allow you to take the second step and the third step. And ultimately, the trick to achieving your dreams is have a clear goal and don't give up. Continue to move forward. The naysayers will be right 100% of the time until they are wrong. And when they're wrong, you've achieved.
And then they're all going to be patting you on the back.
Then they'll be patting you on. Be careful who's patting you on the back, because the ones that were there through the struggle, those are your true friends. Those are your true supporters. The ones that gave you constructive criticism are the ones that want to see you succeed. We talk about most people look at success from the eye of the highlight reel, but they don't see the full movie. They don't see what it took for James to go from a child to where he is now, all the things that you had to do and overcome to conquer your fears, get your name out there, get your music out there, get your writing out there. And when you're successful, they'll see it as an overnight success rather than a 65-year journey,
right,
to achieve that goal you never gave up on.
Yeah. And nothing good comes quickly. It always takes hard work and dedication, and takes patience, and patience is something I've always struggled with, but I'm becoming very good friends with it. over the last years, I've become very good friends with it.
We'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll continue to follow you. And remember that the journey and the experiences, more importantly, that you're enjoying as you go through achieving your dreams is a lot more important than a destination. I encourage people to not worry so much about a destination, because when you reach it, the goalpost moves, and now there's a bigger dream. And a lot of people give up because they feel they're not getting to a preconceived destination. Stop worrying about that and enjoy the experiences and the learning and the growth as you move towards your dreams. James, thank you so much for joining, and appreciate your time on a weekend. And I wish the best for you. Again, everybody, James, where can they find you, your writings, and your music?
Well, my music's on all the streaming services, Spotify right off the bat. And my book is in Amazon, KDP, and all the brick and mortar bookstores. It's print on demand, and if you have a Kindle device, it's less expensive. It's like $14 for the book, and when it's all cut and dry, I get $4 off the sale. So
let's sell a million of them.
$4 I didn't have to start with, and it's like I said, it's not the monetary gain that attracts me. It's the things that people say, that validate me and make me, it just confirms what my beliefs were in myself, and that's more precious than gold.
And what is the remind everybody the name of the book and the pen name you use?
James Lennox, and it's called Life's Daily Struggles Defined. And Outcomes.
And then the name of the album, and that's under James Lanshoff, correct?
Yeah, and it's called Mind's Eye.
All right, James. You have a great weekend, and let's see that we bless a lot of people with your music and writing. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your life story and your dreams. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate what you do, because you bring hope to people like me, man.
That's
really
the
do.
goal. That is the goal. Thank you, James.
Thank you, sir. Bye now.
You've been listening to Real People, Real Life. Our passion is to have real conversations with real people who've made it. Real people who've made it, who did it on their own terms. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, catch us on Twitter or X at RPRL Podcast and on YouTube at Real People Real Life Podcast.